Hello everyone. With this video, I'm going to speak about some basic concepts in cell biology. Cell biology is also known as cytology. Cyto here refers to cell and logy means study. So study of cell is cytology. So let us begin. All of you are very much familiar with the title of the chapter, the fundamental unit of life. If I ask you a question, what is the fundamental unit of life? Many of you will answer this question by saying cell is the fundamental unit of life. But some of you may not be accepting cell as fundamental unit of life. Some of you intelligent students may say that it's atom. Few intelligent students may say that they are structures smaller than atom. So let us discuss what is the fundamental unit of life. So in Latin words, cell is called a cella, which means small room. To elaborate cell in a little more detail, I would say cell is the basic structural and fundamental unit of life. But some of you may say that cell is building block of life. If you think about your own development from single cell zygote, then we'll come to know why cell is known as basic structural and fundamental unit of life, or why cell is called as building block of life. You know, we all are developed from single cell called zygote, right? After the fertilization, there is formation of zygote, and after the zygote is formed, zygote divides to form two cells, and two cells will again divide to form many cells, and later on embryo is formed. Embryo keeps on dividing and form a baby. So if you think about your own body, our body is composed of cell. So our building block of body is cell. In our body, we have cells which group to form tissue. Tissue is group of cells having similar structure and function. Many tissues will form organ. Organs are having specific function. Many organs will form an organ system. We have organ system, say digestive system is an organ system having many organs integrated, associated together to form a system, digestive system. So there are many systems in our body. Hence, I would say cell is the basic structural and fundamental unit of life. Hope you all will accept. So if that is so, then why we are calling cell as basic structural and functional unit of life? We have already discussed. So cell is called basic structural and functional unit of life due to many reasons we have already studied. So cell is the fundamental structural, fundamental here refers to basic structure that performs diverse life processes. Life processes here refers to all the processes which are occurring in living body, say like respiration, digestion, excretion, whether it's occurring in unicellular or multicellular body or entity. So every living organism is made up of cell, and this basic structure performs diverse function. We are again stating, right? All living organisms are made up of cell. So in multicellular organism like us, our body is formed from group of cells having similar structures and function. Therefore, tissues are organized to form organ. Many organs associate together to form organ system. Now we have understood why cell is called as basic structural and functional unit of life. Now, can we study cell in detail through naked eye? Our eyes are not that powerful. Cell is microscopic in structure, so that we have to use microscope. But we can see some cell, eggs of different birds. These are cell, right? So we can see cells of cell or eggs of birds. Single cell is there in one egg. One egg is a single cell. But in order to study in detail about the structure of cell, we use microscope. So without microscope, we can't study the structure of cell in detail. Now, who discovered cell and how? In 1665, there was a great scientist called Robert Hooke. He took a thin slice of cork from bark of tree. All of you have seen bark of tree. Around the stem, there is a rough covering that is bark. And he took bark and he cut it into thin slices, thinner than the sheets in your notebook. And he observed under his own microscope. So this is his own microscope. Later on, after observing through his microscope, he observed honeycomb-like structures. You can see honeycomb-like structures, right? Tiny rooms which are hexagonal in shape. So with this observation, he first coined term cella in his book Micrographia. So Robert Hooke is the first scientist to discover cells from bark of tree, and he described cell in his book Micrographia. So if he is one of the great scientists, then there must be many scientists who have contributed to the knowledge of the cytology or cell biology. Yes, we do have lots of scientists. So this is what Robert Hooke had discovered. So if I answer the question in proper sentence, then I would answer like this. In 1665, Robert Hooke discovered cells while examining a thin slice of cork of bark through a self-designed microscope. He observed that the cork resembled here refers to resembled the structure of honeycomb, consisting of many tiny compartments. Compartments here refers to tiny room. For these tiny boxes, he called cells. Okay. So what he observed was dead cell, right? Dead cells from the bark of tree. Bark of tree is that part of the tree. Likewise, there are many scientists and they contributed a lot to the cell biology. So this table shows you how many scientists have contributed to the cell biology. These are not just some scientists, we have many scientists. So we'll discuss about them. We have already discussed about Robert Hooke. In 1665, he discovered cell and coined term cell. Now, after 9 years, we have a great scientist called Antony, or Antony. We write N-I-E or N-Y. Antony van Leeuwenhoek. He is a self-taught person. He is learning by self. He is very curious. Later on, he was popularly known as father of microbiology. Why he is known as father of microbiology? He has studied about many microscopic living organisms. Firstly, he studied about protozoans. So Leeuwenhoek, he studied free living cells in the pond water. He visited a pond and from there he took some water and then observed under his own microscope. He's also very interested in designing spectacles. By profession, making he is optimist, ophthalmologist, or say like he is making spectacles, goggles. So he discovered tiny structures called animalcules from the pond water under his own microscope. Later on, he kept on designing microscope and he laid the foundation to the microbiology. So that's why he is called as father of microbiology. In 1838, we have great scientist called Matthias Jakob Schleiden or Matthias Schleiden. He's botanist by profession. He studies about plants. After observing different plants, he found that plants are made up of cells. So he said, cell is the basic unit of life in plants. Likewise, in 1839, we have another scientist called Theodor Schwann. He is a doctor by profession. What he found is in different animals, body of animal was found to be made up of cells. So he stated that cell is the basic structural unit of animals. Later on in year 1855, we have another great scientist called Rudolf Virchow. His entire name is Rudolf Ludwig Karl Virchow. What he found is all the cells are arising from pre-existing cells. That means all the cells come from earlier existing cells. So he stated like this: omnis celluli e cellulae. He also modified the cell theory. Earlier, Matthias Schleiden stated that plants are made up of cell. Theodor Schwann, he described cells are making up body of animals. So later on, Rudolf Virchow, he explained that cells arise from pre-existing cell. Our body is composed of cells. Our cells are derived from single cell called zygote. So these three great scientists, Matthias, Theodor, Rudolf, three of them gave the theory of cell biology. So what are the three principles of cell theory? Three principles of the cell theory are: all living organisms are made up of one or more cells. Cell is the basic structure and organization in living organisms. Cells come up from pre-existing cells, or cells arise from pre-existing cells. Now let us try to classify living organisms on the basis of number of cells. Some living organisms are made up of single cell, so they are called unicellular organisms. In unicellular organism, all the functions or work is divided at organelle level. Organelle here refers to tiny structures within the cell. We have mitochondria, nucleus, Golgi apparatus, chloroplast, and so on. So in unicellular organisms, cell organelles are walking, and walk is divided among the cell organelles. Now, in unicellular organism, only one cell is responsible for doing all the life processes. Life processes here refers to all the processes which are occurring in living organism. So within one cell, say like amoeba, in amoeba we have different cell organelles, whether it be foot vacuole, contractile vacuole, nucleus, all these are having their own function, and they are having their own specific function, and that's why they are able to survive. Now, on the basis of number of cell, we humans are classified under multicellular organism. Multicellular, multi here refers to many, cellular here refers to cell. So many celled organisms like us, in our body we have cells grouped together to form same structure and same function, and they are known as tissue. Many tissues will group to form organ. Many organs associate together to form organ system. So in multicellular organism like us, we have different organs, and our body is having lots of cells group together to form tissues group together form organs having specific function, and later on we have many organ system, whether it be respiratory system, excretory system, digestive system, and so on. So in our body all the cells are having specialized function, so work is divided among different cells. So division of labor, division of work is there for specific cells, specific tissues, specific organs, and organ system is having their own function. So with this, we'll do some homework, and later on we'll discuss more about cell biology or cell in detail. So try to answer this question. The first question is, what are the three principles of the cell theory? What are the three differences between unicellular and multicellular organism? Who discovered cells and how? Why do we consider cells as basic structural and functional unit of life? Distinguish between unicellular organism and multicellular organism. Till then, stay safe, take care.